Good afternoon, and welcome to the NSTP FASET Parent Panel discussion. My name is James Allen Jr., and I'm a coordinator for new student and transition programs here at Georgia Tech, where I specifically oversee our extended orientation program, RETCAMP. Today, I will serve as your moderator for this panel, along with my colleague, Cynthia Jennings, who is the Director of New Student and Transition Programs. We are so excited that you are here with us today and welcome you and your students to the Georgia Tech family. We also hope that you and your loved ones are safe during these uncertain times. To begin our parent panel discussion, our panelists will have the opportunity to introduce themselves.
Good afternoon. My name is Colleen Riggle. I serve in the Division of Student Life as Associate Dean of Students.
Hi everyone, my name is Rosemary Rim. I am a Registrar Advisor in the Office of the Registrar, and welcome to Georgia Tech.
Hi everyone, my name is Linda Green. I'm the Director of Tutoring and Academic Support in the Office of Undergrad Education, and I'm also faculty in the School of Biological Sciences. We're glad to have you here.
Hello, welcome everyone. My name is Carleen Andrew. I am the Assistant Director of Student Accounts in the Bursar and Treasury Office. Nice to have you.
You're muted, Larry.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Larry. I work with the Office of Scholarships and Financial Aid. I am the Customer Service Manager.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Brett Hulst. I'm the Associate Director of Residence Life in the Division of Campus Services. Welcome to Georgia Tech.
Thank you to all of our panelists that are here today. As a reminder, if you have a question that has not been asked, please feel free to send a message in our anonymous chat bar within Microsoft Teams. If we do not receive any questions during this session, we will be ending early as a forewarning. We will do our very best to field all questions asked within this hour time frame. If you ask a question and we don't publish it, it is because we have already answered this question. This video will be posted in the FASET Parent Canvas later today. To begin our discussion, we start with our first question in the chat. Our first question today is going to be for Rosemary in our registrar's office. The question is, my student knows they want to change their major. What should they do?
Sure. Okay, so there's actually a change of major form on the registrar's website, and I can link that after. The student would just complete this and they can either send it to the email address that's on the form, or they can bring it into our office in Tech Tower.
All right, thank you for that answer, Rosemary. The second question here is going to be for Linda. The question is, should my student take GT 1000?
Thank you. My answer is absolutely. We highly recommend GT 1000 for all incoming first-year students. It's a great opportunity to learn more about Georgia Tech and the resources that are available for the student. There are peer mentors of upper class students who are involved with the class, so they also get an opportunity to ask questions to a peer who's lived the experience and knows campus. They focus on leadership skills, resume building, learning about the major, if it's a major specific, or a particular group or program on campus, if it's a themed section of GT 1000. So strongly recommend to have your student take GT 1000.
And thank you for that answer, Linda. I'm going to bring it back over to Cynthia, who had a little bit more on the change major question.
Good afternoon, everyone. So for change of major, that cannot happen until mid-fall semester. So students had the opportunity to confirm their major when they were accepted and after the deposit date, and so students will need to go with their major that they are currently seen as with Georgia Tech. And I saw another question about there's only one change of major for students. Students do change their majors more than once, but I think the one-time change of major policy goes into play when students are confirming their major as they are new students here. But there are many students who graduate who have explored many majors at Georgia Tech.
All right, and thank you for that answer there, Cynthia. The next question that we have is, should my student go to Rec Camp? And I will send myself live, and also ditto what Linda said and say absolutely. And if you don't know what Rec Camp is our extended orientation program through the Office of New Student and Transition Programs, where we pride ourselves in providing activities and opportunities for your student to learn more about the Georgia Tech community as a whole, our wonderful traditions, and ultimately help aid in the transition to college life and beyond, even after Rec Camp is over. At the end of all of our experiences, our goal is to give students the courage to take on their college career and ultimately feel acclimated to our campus. There is one more Rec Camp that we're going to be having for the summer. It's called Rec Camp Odyssey from August 11th through the 14th at Rock Eagle in Eatonton, Georgia. The registration date that ends is July 25th, 2021 for that. For more information about Rec Camp Odyssey, you can visit our website at transitionprograms.gotech.edu and just click on Rec Camp Odyssey, and that'll provide you all the information that you need to know about our camp. We'll see you there. Our next question here is going to be for Larry in financial aid. The question is there a list of scholarships students can apply for?
The short answer is no. The longer answer is no, because if you do go to our website, you will see a pretty exhaustive list of scholarships that are funded through Georgia Tech's endowment, various funds and named scholarships. However, there is no separate application for each of those. Students would submit their Georgia Tech aid application as well as their FAFSA by January 31st of every year, and they would automatically be considered for any scholarships, grants, or need-based loans, as well as departmental awards that may be offered. We do always recommend that students pursue outside scholarships. These are third-party scholarships that are offered by various nonprofits, corporations, businesses, community organizations, etc. And a good place to search for those for the student is a website called fastweb.com.
All right, thank you for that answer, Larry. This next question is going to be for Rosemarie. The question is, my son has indicated that most of the classes that he wants/needs to take are full. Will there be other classes that open later?
Mm-hmm. Yes, so we are aware that some of the classes are full and so are the departments. So they are aware of this. The seats will progressively be opening. Usually during the FASET, if the student is coming in and doing a FASET, the academic advisor will assist in that process. We are going to be having another registration period in July and August as well. So more seats should be opening then too. But we would say work with the academic advisor to try to best choose those classes that fit the schedule. Even if there's something that may be full, there may be something else that your academic advisor can suggest that you take during the time being. But yes, our departments are aware that some of the classes are full and we're trying to accommodate as best as possible.
Great, and thank you for that answer, Rosemarie. This next question is going to be for Brett in Campus Services. The question is, where should my student get their textbooks?
Yes, so we have a campus bookstore that's Barnes & Noble at GT, and so all of our professors and classes have that have textbooks. We'll have them there, and they will be used, they'll be new, and they can help with any of that. You can actually go online and pre-order those and have them ready for pickup when you arrive at campus, lots of things like that. So check out GT at Barnes & Noble for all the information about campus textbooks. There are some other resources as well that professors will share if they don't have physical books or online books. They may have something else, and they'll give you lots of instructions on how to get those textbooks.
And thank you for that answer, Brett. Rosemarie, you may be able to help with this one. The question is, when does phase 2 registration open?
Mm-hmm. So phase 2 registration will open on August 14th, and then it'll go through our add or drop week, and it will close on August 27th. That's located on the Georgia Tech academic calendar too.
And thank you for that answer, Rosemarie. The next question that we have here is going to be for Linda. The question is, where can my son go for tutoring?
Yeah, this is a great question. So our tutoring office and tutoring center is located on the second floor in the Clef building, which is pretty centrally located on campus. And we also help connect students to a couple of other programs around campus that offer tutoring. The Office of Minority Services offers tutoring. The College of Engineering has their own tutoring program focused more at their mid and upper level courses. But the first place to come to would be the Tutoring Center in Clough.
All right. Thank you for that answer, Linda. And while I have you here, I have another question for you. The question is, how can my daughter get involved in undergraduate research?
Sure. So for undergraduate research, we encourage students to start making connections with faculty, whether it's the faculty that's teaching their course, or if they peruse the website for their major, or if they're doing an interdisciplinary program, multiple departments of where they're interested in. Read a little bit about what faculty are doing and then reach out to them. So some students start with conversations before or after class, dropping into office hours, setting up an appointment to talk to them and just expressing interest and passion about what they do, and talking a little bit about what research looks like in their lab. And so sometimes that starts with joining a discussion with the lab group and then progressing to an undergraduate position working in the lab.
All right, we thank you for those answers there, Linda. Brett, I have two questions for you in campus services. The first one is, how do I change the meal plan selected during the housing application process?
Yes, so I've added a link for the BuzzCard website, and that link is actually not working yet, but it gives you instructions on what to do when it does kick in. And so nothing to stress about yet, though. The meal plans for first year students, there's two. There's one at everyday plan and a weekday plan. They both cost the same amount of money. They have some different benefits that make up for the cost. So, but you'll have some time, students have some time after school starts to still continue to switch that meal plan. So once that link is working, which I believe should be happening soon, our dining services just started July 1st. It's a new service that we have. And so they're probably getting a lot of those things worked out now, but you will have time to get that updated up through the first couple of weeks of school.
And thank you, Brad. And while I have you here, the second question is, when are first year students able to purchase parking permits?
So I just added a link for driverseat.gotech.edu as well. Once students have a Georgia Tech username and password, they can log into their parking transportation and select a parking permit if they choose to do so. And that is open now.
Definitely. And thank you for that answer there, Brad. This next question is going to go back to Rosemarie in the registrar's office. The question is, when will students be able to adjust their schedule after the AP test scores are released later in July?
So we're well aware that the scores are not going to be coming in until later in July. Also, too, I know the departments are also aware. So we will be, trying to get those scores entered in as quickly as possible. If there is a course that a student definitely would like to take, what I would suggest doing is reaching out to the department directly and requesting a permit. It's not guaranteed that they will get the permit, but if it is something that the student would like to take, they can definitely request it. Let's say it's for English or for math. I would reach out to the department directly, and then depending on that department, they'll issue the permit accordingly.
And thank you for that answer. And while I have you here, Rosemarie, I have another question. Where does a student go to get their GT email?
So to my understanding, it's issued when the student applies eventually. I don't know if somebody else has this question or knows this question better than I do. Sure.
I was going to say, let me look it up on the OIT website, and I can drop a link in the chat for you there.
Thank you.
Okay. So yeah, so we will be putting that link in the chat soon to our live audience here. Our next question is, I heard the students get Microsoft Office from GT. How do they install everything on their laptop? Should we send that one over to Linda?
I'm live. I'll go. This is Colleen. Let me go ahead and research that as well. So there is something called ServiceNow that is through OIT on campus. And so that gives folks the ability to download different software and things of that nature. If students have issues accessing internet and all those things once they get to campus, they have folks from OIT that are available to help with that. And there's a lot of tutorials on campus a lot of tutorials online, and they have a ticket system. So don't worry about getting all the things that you need to kind of get up and running. We will make sure that happens, but I'll poke around and drop a few links in the chat for you.
Okay, thank you so much, Colleen. We appreciate that. This next question is going to be for Curlin. The question is, what is the deadline for outside scholarships to pay the bursar's office so the money is applied to their accounts?
Okay, awesome. So the payment deadline is the 30th of August. And for outside scholarships, some of that we know may not be in probably before the deadline. If you do have confirmation from the donor that the funds are to come, you could send us an email via bursar.ask@guitech.edu, but the deadline is August 30th. I suggest to just go ahead and contact your donors as of right now and find out when is the date that the scholarship will be mailed to Georgia Tech. And all information also is on bursar.georgiatech.edu. If you have any email, send it to our email address.
All right, thank you so much, Curlin, for that answer. This next question is going to go back over to Rosemary in our registrar's office. The question is, what about the possibility of double majoring? My son wants to double major.
So it's certainly a possibility. I would definitely encourage the student to speak with their academic advisor before making that choice, so that way they can go over the pros and cons of potentially double majoring. But we have many students do it, so I would suggest reaching out to your advisor directly.
Right, and thank you so much for that answer there. The next question that we have is, what if an outside scholarship is sent after each semester's payment deadline? Does it show up as a credit or get applied to next semester? Send that one to Curlin.
So if the scholarship is for that specific term or semester, it will be applied to that semester. We do not apply any payments to terms that's not applicable if it's not stated on the scholarship memo. If it creates a credit on the account, we'll evaluate the account and the student will be refunded. Well, no, actually, the money may go back to the donor, but that scholarship has to go to the term that it's specified for.
And thank you for that answer, Curlin. The next question is going to be for Larry in financial aid. The question is, if our student doesn't qualify for financial aid and will not be taking out any loans, is it still required to submit FAFSA every year?
No. It's not a requirement. If the student's not receiving financial aid, they would not need to complete the FAFSA or the Georgia Tech aid application.
Right, thank you so much, Larry. We appreciate that. The next question that we have here is, are there any self-defense classes offered through the Rec Center or Georgia Tech Police Department?
I can take that if no one else has that. Yes, there are self-defense classes offered through the police department. I would encourage you to check out police.gatech.edu. Those listings will start to appear soon, but they will have self-defense classes. I don't believe there are any at specific self-defense classes at the CRC right now, but they do have a long list of courses. They have like martial arts classes and things like that, but specific self-defense, the police do offer those courses.
And thank you so much for that answer, Brett. The next question that I have here is, my son will be arriving from out of state for Rec Camp Odyssey. Is there a place he can stay the night before it starts? His dorm move-in date isn't until Sunday. Also, what time will students be back from Rec Camp on Saturday? Let me go ahead and put myself live for this one. So yeah, for the students that's arriving from out of state, we do have an early arrival option for your student to come in August 10th, the day before we leave for Rec Camp Odyssey, for a rate of $65 a day. They will be moving into their fall 2021 assignment within Housing and Residence Life. And then with that also, we'll be coming back from Rock Eagle at 3 p.m. on the 14th. So yeah, so you all would have to work things out with Housing and Residence Life and when you would need to officially move in. So that's the answer to that one. So the next question that we have here, it says, Georgia Tech is a large, heavily resourced institute, and we're aware of the many support services offered. My question, is there a simple guide available so students can know what supports to access, how and where? Like an overview with headings by type of services and how to take any needed first steps?
I could take that if you'd like. I can. Hey everyone, so this is Colleen again from the Student Life Office. I would say there's a couple things. I would say that most of the websites are whatever the department is, .gov.tech.edu, and so there's that information, I believe, through FASET on the Canvas site that your student has access to. There's resource information there that they will have. I would also say, kind of referencing back to GT 1000, that gives them a point of contact that isn't a big scary lecturer type person that they can kind of have those interactions with, and they will learn about the resources throughout that first semester. I'm also going to put a plug for the Dean of Students Office, Student Life Office. If your student really just isn't really sure where to go or where to access any of those things, just ask to have an appointment with one of us, and we will make sure that we point them in the right direction. And oftentimes that is what we do, and make sure that they get connected to those resources. So I know students are into social media, and so a lot of the pages, a lot of the resources have Facebook and Instagram accounts, so that would be a way to kind of keep in touch and that sort of thing. So it kind of depends on what resources they may need, but I would say most of the time, kind of referencing back to the self-defense, it's like police.gov.tech.edu. Fraternity and sorority life, it's greek.gov.tech.edu. So just doing a quick Google search and just kind of typing that in will probably get them to the right place. Otherwise, maybe just linking to the Student Life website where we showcase a lot of different resources as well.
All right, and thank you for that answer there, Colleen. This next question that we have is, we've not received information for mandatory health programs, which opened on July 6th. Where is the information to take the courses? Anybody has any answers on that one?
I'm live. I'll just say, let me figure out who the email is. I think it's Sarah Morales in Health Initiatives is, I think, the one that is taking that on. Let me make sure that that's the right person, and I will drop their information in the chat, and you're probably just going to want to send them an email, because I believe those links for those pre-education sessions have been sent out, because there are deadlines that we would like students to kind of follow. But let me double check on that, and I'll drop it in the chat. It may be that it just got lost or didn't get sent out, or maybe it went to junk mail or something like that.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for that answer there, Colleen. We'll be looking out for that link there. This next question is going to be for Brett and Campus Services. The question is, what day does the meal plan start for freshmen?
So dining hall is officially open on August 19th, which is a Thursday, for breakfast. However, for students who are moving in on the 14th and 15th in the residence halls for the week of welcome programming, we will have meals provided up until dining halls open for all meals during that period, and that's included in all the fees that students have already paid. There are no additional costs for that, and that will be linked through the guidebook app for the week of welcome schedule. But officially, for all dining halls and campus restaurants, will officially open with meal plan service on Thursday, August 19th.
Thank you, Brett. And while I have you here, I have another question for you about housing. For a disability housing request, shouldn't it be completed before self-assign opens? Haven't been contacted by housing, and self-assign opens Monday.
Disability Services, which is an office on campus, is actually who you would want to work with to start with. They will be the ones who contact housing to tell us what accommodations we must provide to students. And so that can happen at any time during our process. But that does not start with housing. That starts with the Office of Disability Services. And I'll add a link to the chat in just a second.
All right, and thank you, Brett. I do see that I have two more questions here lined up for you. So the first question is, if a student does not have GT health insurance and has to pay out of pocket, are there negotiated rates similar to Medicare rates that the university uses for charging students?
So health insurance is required at Georgia Tech, in addition to the health fee that is also required. Health insurance, if you're not covered by parents, is offered through the Institute. I believe United Healthcare provides that service, and it is a separate fee that you would pay, or students would pay. And I'll add a link to that. Once I answer my questions, I'll add links to all these with the information on how to get to that. It's on the health website. And there's a section called For Students, and there's a health insurance section there that will give you information about the health insurance plan that Georgia Tech offers.
Thank you, Brett. And another housing question for you here. Question is, when do the housing assignments or the building you are assigned to come out?
So we do not assign students, they will self-assign, and as was just noted, that opens on Monday. So based on the student's priority number, they will have a time frame that opens up for them where they'll be able to go in and self-assign a room based on what's available based on their priority number. So starting Monday, students will start selecting the rooms that they want to live in. If they're going through the process with a roommate, which is not required, you can go through as a single student as well. But if you're going through with a roommate and both folks have added each other as their roommates on their applications, whoever has the highest priority number will take both people through the process.
Right, and thank you for those answers there, Brett. This next question is going to be for Larry in financial aid. The question is, do you have to fill out the FAFSA if you are receiving the Zell Miller Scholarship and will not be receiving any loans for the balance?
For students who are receiving state aid, such as the Hope or Zell Miller Scholarship, they have the option of completing either the FAFSA or what's called the GSFAPPS, which is the Hope application that can be completed at the website for the Georgia Student Finance Commission, which is gafutures.org. The GSFAPPS does only need to be completed once, so if they are not looking for any other need-based aid or federal aid, then they can complete that application. No matter what, the Georgia Tech application for scholarships and financial aid must be completed yearly.
And thank you for that answer there, Larry. Brett, we have a few more housing questions that came in for you. So the first question is, as we know, the 14th of August is their move-in date and 23rd is the official contract starting date. Are the students allowed to stay in allotted housing and access the meal plan?
So their oh, sorry, I'm not live yet, but anyway, sorry about that. Yes, students who move in on the 14th or 15th, that is when their contract will start. They will move into their residence hall room. They will be living in their space. That will be their space. They'll have their key. They are living in the residence halls as soon as they move in, starting the 14th and 15th, whichever day they choose to move in. As I mentioned a few minutes ago, the meal plans do not start until the 19th. However, we will be providing meals to students who are participating in Week of Welcome. That's every first-year student, even if they're not participating in the activities, will have availability to food during that time that is included in their fees.
All right, and thank you for that answer, Brett. And then another housing question for you here. If the student due to visa delays couldn't make it to reach before the move-in date and would be late for a few days, is it okay?
Yes, we just ask that you let us know when students will be arriving. There's some links that students will start getting some information from us soon about their arrival time. They can go ahead and start selecting their move-in date, the 14th or 15th. That's already online through the My Housing portal, so students should have already done that. They have until July 30th to do so. If they can't meet those dates, they just need to reach out to us to let us know what date they're coming in. That way we'll know to hold the space for them. We don't give away rooms until classes start, but as long as we know someone's coming, we will hold the room until they arrive.
Thank you so much for that answer there, Brett. This next question is a general question. My son is interested in being part of a jazz ensemble. Do auditions take place before classes start? Do all students who audition get into some group? Would anyone have any answers on that one at this time? We may have to do a little research and put a link in the chat here, if no one.
The only thing I would say is that I know with like fraternity and sorority life, that stuff starts a little bit before classes do. The ensembles, I would imagine they probably don't do a lot until students are on campus, but I'll double check on that. So.
Yeah, I would say I participated in orchestra and band when I was a student here, and auditions happen generally the first week of classes, and you're not guaranteed a seat in an ensemble.
Okay. Well, thank you all, Colleen and Larry, for those answers. If we find some more information, we'll go ahead and put those links in the chat for you all. The next question that we have, we're moving back to campus services here, but the question is, I've seen info about meal swipes in the parent Facebook page. How do meal swipes work? Do students get a limited number of swipes each day? Does every swipe count the same, or does it depend on what is purchased, i.e. drink, snack versus a meal?
So how meal plans work in our unlimited dining facilities, when you swipe into one of our 3 dining halls, you have unlimited, you can get a Coke and leave, or you can eat for an hour and a half everything that you can get your hands on in the dining hall. It's unlimited. So it's no different if it's a drink, a snack versus a meal. With dining dollars and things like that, you pay for what you're purchasing. So say you're at one of the GT dining provided restaurants on campus and you just buy a Coke there, you would just pay for the Coke itself. For the meal swipes in the unlimited spaces, it is a one price, eat as much as you want or as little as you want for that. There are 4 meal periods a day. There's breakfast, lunch, dinner, and late night. Our first dining halls open around 7 in the morning. The last one closes around 1 a.m. So during those, each day those meal swipes do disappear. So you can't get those back. You don't get money back for them that aren't used, but you have up to 4 swipes per day during those periods in the unlimited dining halls.
Right, and thank you so much for that answer, Brett. We're going to give you a break for just a second. Colleen, I have a question for you. The question is, how will students be notified of emergencies on campus?
I am so glad you asked. So emergency notifications go out in a couple different ways. Your student has the option of logging into our or logging their information in through Buzzport, and so they can get information via text or email to them if there is an emergency on campus or something that they need to be aware of, and that is through our G10s, our Georgia Tech Emergency Notification System, and that will go out to faculty and staff as well, but since the question is particular for students, I'll reference that. It's only particular to folks on campus because trying to push out so many notifications to like parents or people all over the world, it would just slow the process down. So that's the way that we notify anybody that is local to campus. Parents and family that want that information, I would advise following like the social media sites and websites and things like that, just for that information, because our emergency preparedness department and Georgia Tech Police Department update those regularly if there's like a weather warning or if there's maybe a little bit more significant emergency on campus. So yeah, so G10s is the way that folks kind of get notified about that. So, and if you sign up for text, phone call, and email, they all come in at the same time. So there is no shortage of the information when they do that. And I will note that they do test the system once a month too. So sometimes if you're new to campus and you hear it going off, you're kind of started a little bit, but they usually do it. I think it's the 4th Thursday of the month at 10 a.m., 12 a.m. I think it's noon. So if you hear that within the first few weeks of being here, don't necessarily be alarmed.
Definitely, and thank you for that answer there, Colleen. These next couple of questions, or a few questions, are going to be for Brett and Campus Services, and they're all pertaining to housing. So the first question is, when does GT inform students of acceptance to the first year experience?
So that's a really easy question. Most students who live with us are living in the first year experience. So if as a first year student, probably about 97% of our students live in the first year experience. That's basically what it is. It's our program where we have students who are living in traditional halls who are sharing common spaces with RAs living on the floor. And we make sure that first year students living with other first year students. And that's generally what first year students will be living in. So most students are accepted into the first year experience just by living on campus. There are also living learning communities which are part of the first year experience. And those are the things that students have to apply for, but those are also part of the first year experience.
Thank you for that answer there, Brett. Your next question is, where can we send the dorm essentials before the student arrives to Georgia Tech?
Our residence halls do not have mail facilities, so you will not be able to send them directly to the residence halls. However, we do have a campus post office, which is in the central part of campus. So if you have things that you want to send to students ahead of time, they will have to pick them up from the central point on campus and get them back to their residence halls. So, that's probably easy for like a care package or, general packages. But if you're mailing a refrigerator ahead, they can accept that. Students will need to pick it up pretty quickly, but they will have to get it from the central part of campus to their residence hall that way. There'll be information on the Student Center website about the post office, and I'll try to link that in once I get done answering these questions.
And thank you for that answer, Brett. Your next question here is, if my child did random for roommate selection, when will they find out who their roommate is?
So because we use self-assign, we do not assign roommates either. They will assign themselves. A student will assign themselves to a room with another person, or someone else will assign themselves to a room with your student. And once that happens, both students will see each other's names and contact information so they can reach out to that person.
Thank you, Brett. Your next housing question is going to be, how do you merge 2 groups for a quad room?
So quad rooms are basically 2 rooms that are joined together with an internal doorway that does not close. So sometimes it's an archway, sometimes it's just an opening that a door would fit in, but there's no door there. And so each of those rooms are it's a little bit of a gray area because we assign students to one half and 2 students to one half and 2 students to the other. And it's sort of up to those students how they want to divide up the space. Some students choose to put all 4 beds on one side and have all living like TVs and video games and desks and stuff like that on the other side. Some students like to keep it as 2 separate rooms. So we don't really merge the groups. We work with the students to make sure that they're communicating and decide on how to use the space as best as possible. Generally, it works just fine. For all of our roommate pairings and quad pairings, quaddings, I don't know how you say that, but we have a roommate agreement, so they will make decisions on the use of the space together, and they will all sign off on it. That way we can revisit that if there are issues in the room on using the space.
Thank you, Brett. The next question that we have for you is, if my student is not living on campus, can they still be on the meal plan?
Yes, students can definitely still have a meal plan. Mealplan.gatech.edu is where students go to sign up for a meal plan, and so anyone can sign up for a meal plan.
Thank you, Brett. The housing and campus services questions keep rolling in.
I've been waiting for them all along, so I'm ready.
Okay, so we're going to go to our next question. Can the student use health insurance, what they currently have, as a part of a family plan and still available all the services on campus, the doctor, counseling, etc.?
Yes, so the student health fee, which all students must pay, covers general needs at Stamps Health Services, which, that's it's kind of like day-to-day healthcare. If you have a cold, you might go and they'll, check in on you, and there's a, vaccine clinic and things like that. There's an allergy clinic and some other things, some counseling services there, psychiatry services, I should say, that do cost additional. And so insurance may cover those, but they are at their, you can go to their website, health.gatech.edu, to read all about the different services they offer. Many of them are included in the health fee, the day-to-day health fee. Health insurance is required for the emergency care, if in case or after hours care that Stamps cannot cover. But so yes, all students, regardless of their health insurance status, with who they have health insurance with, I should say, can use the Student Health Center.
Thank you, Brett. With this question, Colleen may be able to tag team with you. The question is, how is the security system on campus? Are there any escort services available in the late evening from department to housing?
Yeah, I can actually cover that, I'm pretty sure. So we have a couple things that students will learn about as they're getting onto campus. I'll start with parking and transportation services. We have something called the Midnight Rambler. It's a bus service that runs till about 2 o'clock in the morning that connects dining halls, the library, and the residential areas. So students can take those buses. There's an app called Passio Go that students will have. They'll see when buses are coming, so they don't even have to wait outside. They can kind of run to the bus when it's getting there from the library or wherever they're picking the bus up from. There's also a service called the Stingerette, which is a point-to-point service, which is a late night service. I just got the hours for that. It starts at 8 p.m. and runs till 3:15 in the morning, and students can call that service, and it's a point-to-point service. So wherever they are on campus, they can get to any other point on campus, and that will transport them as well. Also, the police run an app called Live Safe that also students can use, which is for safety purposes as well. And maybe if they want to walk just from a parking lot or to the library or something like that, they can log in through Live Safe, and the police will monitor their progress via the app and can send someone out if there's a problem. And so it's up to students to just kind of press the button when they start, press the button when they end, so the police know that they've made it to where they are. We have lots of security systems on campus. We're covered with cameras, so there's a lot of monitoring going on of people walking around, and so we're a fairly safe campus, but there are a lot of services for students to use to feel even safer. But we always highly encourage students not to walk alone, to not tailgate in behind locked doors, to not let people in behind them to a locked door, to make sure their doors are locked in their residence hall rooms when they're in their cars and things like that, not to run with their headphones in at night, things like that. So the police will be giving a lot of information about this as they start school.
Thank you, Brett. And the next question that I have for you here is, are microwaves and refrigerators allowed in the dorms?
They are allowed. We have limits on the size. I think refrigerators can be up to 4.5 cubic feet. Microwaves can be up to, I think it's like 1,000 watts. That information is on our website, the housing website. There's a list of things you can and can't bring. What's most important, I think, is what you can't bring, and that's things that glow red when they heat up. So like a hot plate, a toaster oven, those are not allowed. Also, pressure cookers are not allowed. Wireless printers, wireless routers are not allowed. And scooters, skateboards, hoverboards, and bicycles with either a gas engine or a battery powered or that are battery powered are not allowed to be stored in the residence halls. They need to be left outside in cars or in places outside where they can be stored.
All right, thank you, Brett. We appreciate that. Your next question is, will students be assigned a mailbox automatically, or will they need to sign up for one?
They will automatically be signed up for a mailbox, and that happens very soon. Once they've registered for classes, they'll start getting information on that. They can check Oscar, and that information will be posted there.
Thank you, Brett. This next question, is there any summer storage provided for students to help with unnecessary transport of items back home that will be needed for future years?
So I'm just going to keep going. We're just keep rolling through these. So we do not provide storage on campus. However, we have a number of third-party groups that come in and will provide storage. So storage facilities, they basically bring pods in that you can load the pod up right outside of the residence hall. They will take it away for you, store it for the summer, and then bring it back to whatever residence hall, or if you're moving off campus to whatever apartment building or home you're moving into when you return to campus. So we don't provide it, but there'll be a lot of services. Some of those will be listed on the parents programs. We'll send some information about that, and we'll have some links to them on our housing webpage as we get into the spring when folks are starting to ask about that.
Thank you, Brett. Another question with housing here. Are any parts of the dorm rooms cleaned by the university, i.e. bathrooms?
Yes. So in the traditional style halls that first years generally live in, kitchens and bathrooms will be cleaned by our staff. In our apartments and suite style buildings, which some first year students will be living in suite style halls, the bathrooms, it's up to the residents to clean those bathrooms because it's a shared space only between a certain number of residents. So in the traditional halls, yes, we clean bathrooms and kitchens. In suites and apartments, we do not. We only clean the hallways.
Thank you, Brett. And this next question here. Will the students have access to printer, or should they have their own?
So we have printers in the residence halls. There's also printers around campus, print stations around campus. So if they don't want to bring a printer, there are plenty of places to print on campus. There's an allotment of pages per week that students can use. And then after that, printing is still fairly inexpensive. So they do not need to bring a printer. We also have 3D printers and things like that in some of our maker spaces. So you don't even need to bring a 3D printer if you need to use a 3D printer. Students will have plenty of access to those type of things. It is perfectly okay to bring a printer if you choose to, not a 3D printer, but a printer as long as it is not wireless in the residence halls.
Thank you, Brett. This next question here. After assigning roommates and the semester begins, and for a reason or another, they felt they are not getting along very well, is there any flexibility to change rooms or roommates?
So this is a question that comes up a lot, and I'm going to be honest, we don't normally have to switch people around. We can generally, I think some folks just think that they're going to move in and have to be best friends with their roommate. That's not at all what we're looking for. We're looking for people who can communicate and share space together, and that generally people can do. That's why we start with roommate agreements, so we can start having those conversations, keeping open conversations and things like that. If we have space available and roommates are not getting along, they don't want to live with each other, if someone chooses to leave the room, we will work with them to move into a different space that's available on campus. Right now, we're over 100% full, so that is not going to be an option for the early part of fall. But we do have a room change process, and RAs and hall directors in the buildings can definitely work with students to any type of roommate disagreement that's going on. We have a whole process that we're going to work through, and we're going to work with students to make sure that we can make it a comfortable situation for everyone. And we just encourage parents particularly to let us do the job, have their students communicating with us. Oftentimes students will only talk to parents, and we don't know about things, and things can get a little out of control occasionally until we can get involved. So making sure that students are chatting with their RA or their hall director so we can get in on that stuff really early on, and that helps out a lot. It's not a situation that happens super often, though. I'll be 100% honest.
All right, and thank you for that answer there, Brett. This next question, my daughter is flying in from Spain to Atlanta Airport. Is there a service from the airport to the Georgia Tech campus?
So it is not run by Georgia Tech, but our subway system in Atlanta is called MARTA, and there is a stop at the airport, and you can take it up to the Midtown station or to the North Avenue station. Both stations have bus service that will run folks onto campus, run by Georgia Tech. So they can ride MARTA, and then I would encourage them to get off at the Midtown station and take the Gold route, which used to be called the trolley. You might hear people calling it that still, but the Gold route will take folks onto campus and get them fairly close to the residential areas.
Thank you, Brett. A few folks on the call may be able to answer this one, but the question is, do you have information on health, HIPAA, POA, financial forms that allow parents to act on the student's behalf? And anyone like to start that one?
Can we give that one to does the registrar's office have that? Yeah.
Yes. In terms of student records and registration for any type of classes, Georgia Tech, we elect to use the FERPA form, which is the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act. So we do not release any information to anyone but the student. So if there is a question with regards to registration or classes or any type of academic conduct, this is a good time for you to speak to your student as to how that communication will be handled before classes start. And any internal matters, I would suggest, like I said, speaking with your student now as to how this disclosure will be handled. Like I said, Georgia Tech does not release that information to anyone else but the student.
James, maybe I could add a little bit about after hours if there's an issue with a student, medical or whatnot. Hi, so in the student life office, I should have mentioned this earlier with the emergency, but it kind of just popped into my head with this question is we have folks that are on campus that deal with anything that may come up with the student during the day and then after hours. In the student life office, we will make contact with the student's emergency contact. If there's anything that rises to the level of like a hospitalization or if they get arrested or if there's something to that nature, we will make contact with their emergency contact. That may not always be the parent, so you may want to have a conversation with your student about who they've listed as their emergency contact and it's not their friend or something like that. When you go through registration or when they go through registration, they'll have the ability to do that. But that is the one time that we will make contact with family when it's something medical in nature, and we really won't tell a lot of information because we probably won't have it, but we will let you know that maybe they've been transported to the hospital for a medical issue, or heaven forbid, if they drink too much alcohol one night or on a weekend, and we'll let you know that that transport has happened so that you're kind of in the loop on that. But otherwise, HIPAA and FERPA and all those things kind of apply to your student when they're here.
Thank you all so much, Rosemary and Colleen, for those answers there. We do have one more question here. The question is, does the school work with a third-party vendor if we want to get refrigerators and microwaves? Where will we find this info? Can they be delivered directly to the dorm room?
So we do not operate with a third party to provide them in the residence halls. Generally, it is actually cheaper to purchase one than to rent one for that period of time. However, this year our sustainability office has something called Green Goodbyes, where students who left last spring could leave things like lamps, refrigerators, futons, and things like that. And those will be up on offer for free during Week of Welcome. It starts on Sunday the 15th at noon. And there's a limited number of refrigerators and things like that. All of it is free if it's first come, first serve, and they will deliver those refrigerators to the residence hall rooms for those students who are able to get there and would like those. We also have shuttles running that week to places like Target and IKEA and Publix, and there's also stores like Walmart and Bed Bath & Beyond and lots of other places. Costco is not too far away that students can go to with families, and you can purchase those things and bring them back to the residence halls as well. So definitely work with roommates as well. Some folks were already planning to bring them those, or may have gotten those for graduation presents. So talk about that. You also don't need to bring those things. There are refrigerators on the hall. There's stoves on the hall. There are microwaves on the hall. So if you don't have those and don't want to bring them, that's okay too.
All righty, and we do thank you for that answer, Brett. That is going to be the last question that we asked today for this session. We thank you to all of our panelists for joining us today, and we thank you all so much for joining us today for our parent panel discussion. And feel free to email our offices for additional questions that may have not been answered today. Please stay safe out there, and again, welcome to Georgia Tech.